Welcome to Manflow Yoga. It's yoga for
Hey guys,
guys.
what's up? It's Dean from Handstand Yoga. Today I'm going to run with you another session. We're going to have a warm-up that's a little bit different than what you're used to in a yoga workout. We're going to be doing push-ups, squats, and alternating lunges. It's just something different from sun salutations that's going to be a little more dynamic, hopefully a little more taxing on the system, and get you a better warm-up than usual. Also, it's fun to just change stuff up. It's not fun to do sun salutations for a warm-up every day. So, come to the middle of your mat, bring your feet about hip-width distance apart, and you're going to lower down. If you haven't done air squats before, I'll try and walk you through the best I can. You're going to take your toes off the ground, so the weight is going to be primarily in the middle and back part of your feet. Don't rest your weight too far forward on your toes. You're going to feet are about hip-width distance apart. You're going to lower down, making sure that you can see your feet in front of your knees, keeping a straight back as much as possible. It's kind of like chair pose. This is actually chair pose and awkward pose. Chair pose obviously being this one, but a variation of chair pose and it's called awkward pose. You're going to feet are about this width distance apart. Anyways, lowering down into a squat and then coming back up. So you're going to do 25 of these just to start off the warm up. You can do these on your own count. You can do them slow. You can do them fast. Just make sure that when you come up from the squat, that you're kind of pointing your hips at the end, so you get the full range of motion. So let's do 25 of these. Making sure your hips go just below your knees. Now we're going to do 10 explosive push-ups. So pushing off the ground so that your hands come off the ground if you can. If not, just push as hard as you can. So let's do 10 of those. For increased difficulty, you can add a clap. Or if you want to be really fun with it, you can clap behind your back. Okay, now we're going to do alternating lunges. So start with one leg out in front, one leg pushing back, kind of like a Crescent Warrior, and then pushing up and switching. Keep your hands on the back of your neck if you want. You can put them on your sides, whatever you want to do. You can do 10 to each side here. There's 10. We're going to come to a down dog now. Hands mat width distance, feet about a foot apart. Start pushing back into your heels, engaging your quadriceps, pulling your hip up as high as you can. And let's start pedaling out your dog now. So pushing heels back, one at a time. Trying to open up your calves. Keeping long legs here. Pulling your hips up at the same time. Now come back to a down dog. Down dog. And now we're going to reach right hand up and then reach your left foot up. Just trying to balance here. A few more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Now left leg's going to come up and right foot's going to come up. A few more breaths. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Now from here, still in down dog, you're going to look up, bend your knees forward, leave your heels off the ground, and bring your feet to meet your hands. Half lift, long spine, lower down. Inhale all the way up. Interlace your interlace your thumbs at the top. Small back bend and lowering down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Feet come back. Lower your knees. Lower your body, chest to meet the ground. Inhale. Pressing your feet into the ground. Using only your lower leg, your legs and your lower back to lift off the ground. And exhaling, push back into down dog. So now we're going to start the standing series. So from your down dog position, inhale your right foot up, bring it forward to meet your hands, come up into a Crescent Warrior, 90-degree bend in your front foot, bringing your hip back, your right hip back into the socket and pulling your left hip forward. Your left foot, your back foot is engaged here, heel is pressing toward the back wall, toes are off the ground in your front foot. Engaging your core, turning your pelvis slightly upward, and then raising up, framing your ears with your biceps. As you inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, go a little deeper into the pose. Getting a little bit of a deeper stretch in your hip flexors. Make sure that your toes and your front foot are off the ground, and that your back foot is engaged, your back leg is engaged, that it's flexed, that you're pushing your heel actively back towards the back wall. Sink a little deeper into this. 5 more breaths. Frame your feet with your hands. Bring your right foot back into a 3-legged dog. Reaching up as high as you can. Foot dorsiflexed. Come forward to a front leaning rest position. Lower your right foot. Bring your body weight just a little forward and then lower down. Exhaling. Inhale. Use your lower body to bring your chest up and expose your heart to the front wall. And then exhale and push back into down dog. Now left foot's going to come up. 3-legged dog. And then bring that forward to meet your hands. And then come up into a Crescent Warrior with your left foot in front this time. Plug your hip back, your left hip back into the socket, and then pull your right hip forward. Keep your right back foot in the leg engaged with the heel pressing back towards the wall. 90-degree bend in your front foot and your front leg. Toes in your front foot off the ground. Pelvis tilted slightly up. Core is engaged. Biceps frame your head. Do about 5 breaths here. And again, as you inhale, you lengthen your spine. You get taller. Bring your crown of your head closer to the ceiling. And then as you exhale, bend deeper into the stretch. Getting some more tension in your hip flexors. Making sure that your back foot is always engaged though, and that your heel is pressing against or toward the back wall. 3 more breaths. 2. 1. Frame your foot with your hands. Using your core strength, lift your left foot up and come back into a 3-legged dog. With that foot, with your left foot dorsiflexed, your heel raising toward the sky. And then come forward into front leaning rest position. Bring your hands in just a little closer than they were before. Lean your body forward. And then as you lower, keep your elbows tucked into your sides. Exhaling. And then inhale into down dog. Using your lower body strength. And just your hands a little bit. Pressing tops of toes into the ground. And then exhale and go into a down dog. Right foot comes up. Right foot comes forward to be framed by your hands. Back foot twist so it's 45-degree angle. Your toes pointing toward about 10 o'clock. Then rise up into Warrior 1. Bring your toes and your front foot off the ground. Angle your hips so that they're facing forward. Press your back foot so that the outside of the foot is touching the ground. And then bend in the stretch as much as you can. Making sure that your hips, again, pelvis is always tilted slightly upward so that core is engaged. Hips are facing forward. And then if you actively engage your left leg here, your back leg, it'll help your hips turn inward and force and face toward the front wall. So then once you've got that, once you've got your core engaged, reach your biceps up to frame your ear. And feel the stretch here. Just feel a lot of tension right here on the outsides of your back foot and in your hip as it starts to open up. As you inhale, get taller. As you exhale, try and bend a little deeper into the stretch. Getting a smaller angle in your front foot, in your front leg, and the bend between your lower and upper leg. And continuing to root down in your back foot. 3 more breaths. 2, 1. Frame your foot with your hands, spin your back foot so that it's facing forward. 3-legged dog. Reach your right leg up and back. Dorsiflex your right foot, reaching your heel up as high as possible. And then lower your foot down. And then let's do the same thing with your other leg. We're going to skip the flow for now. So left leg comes up, dorsiflexed, heel as high as possible. And then using your core strength, bring your foot forward to be framed by your hands. Spin your back foot so that's 45 degrees, facing about 2 o'clock. And then inhale your body up. Make sure your hips are twisted forward. You can do that by engaging your back foot, your back leg. As you squeeze those muscles in your back leg, helps turn your hips forward. Make sure that your back foot is completely rooted into the ground. Pelvis comes slightly upward. Core is engaged. Reach your hands up to frame. Reach your biceps up and your hands up to frame your head with your biceps. And then as you inhale, lengthen your spine, bring your head up closer to the ceiling. And as you exhale, bend a little deeper into the pose. Take your toes and your front foot off the ground. So you engage those muscles in the front part of your lower leg. Make sure you're rooting in the back foot still, so that the outside of your right foot touches the mat. 3 more breaths. 2, 1. Frame your left foot with your hands. Spin your back foot so that toes are facing forward. Using your core strength, bring your foot back up. 3-legged dog. Dorsiflex your left foot. Heels up as high as possible. And then come forward. Do a front leaning rest position. Bring your hands slightly closer together. Move your body forward just about 6 inches. And then lower down with elbows tucked into sides. Inhale, up dog. Using lower body strength, pressing tops of feet into the ground. And then exhale into down dog. So by this point, we're going to be a little bit looser than we were before. Calves should be warmed up. So you can push your heels into the ground. Always push them closer to the ground, making sure that you're bringing your hips up as high as possible. You've got a nice long back here. Engage your quadriceps to help straighten your legs and bring your hips a little higher. But keep the pressure pushing your heels toward the ground. Bring your feet together at the back. I'm going to open the hips up a little bit here. So lift your right leg up and then stack your hips on top of one another. And then open your right knee up to the side wall. And you're going to look under your right armpit. This is 3-legged dog. Making sure that your foot stays in the same position, the one that's on the ground, that it's not turning, that the toes are still pointed toward the front.
You're just opening your hip up here, letting the weight of your foot kind of draw your hip open. And then come back to middle and let that foot touch the ground. Now left foot's going to come up, bend your left knee, and then let the weight of your left foot pull your hip open. Look under your left armpit, and then just feel your hip open up in your left. You're trying to stay as balanced as possible here. So try and keep the weight in your front hands, in your hands even. Open up a little bit more in your hip. Turning your body open a little more. And then bring your left foot to meet your right foot. Right foot comes up. Bring it forward to meet your hands. Spin your back foot 90 degrees and come up into Warrior 2. Front foot's facing forward. Back foot is at a 90-degree angle facing the side wall. Front knee is pointing directly over your middle toe. Make sure that it's not turned inside. Make sure that it's open. And try and bring this knee toward the side wall actively. Not using your hands to do it, but trying to squeeze your muscles so that that opening happens on its own. If you need to know what that feels like, grab the inside of your thighs and just pull them open. And that'll help you realize what the muscles are going to feel like as they're trying to achieve that opening. And then mimic that using your leg muscles. Pelvis is going to tilt slightly upward. Your hips are open toward the sidewall here. So after you've got your pelvis tilted slightly upward, you engage your core, you bring your hands out, and you look straight over your middle finger intently. This is Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. If you want to know the Sanskrit vocabulary for it. We're going to do about 5 breaths here. So as you inhale, try and bring your hips open more, and as you exhale, bend down a little deeper into the pose. 3, 2, 1. We're going to bend a little bit. So bring the weight into your front foot, bend your back foot just a little bit, and we're going to press up and come into balance on your right foot. So engage your whole right leg so that your quadriceps engaged. There's a micro bend in your knee. When I say micro bend, I mean that you can't have your leg completely locked out like this. You want to have just a little bit of bend so that you're engaging all the muscles in your foot, in your leg. If you have no bend, you risk bending the wrong way. So, and then bring your left knee up. Keeping your muscles in your right foot, your right leg engaged. Grab your left knee with your left hand, and then open it up toward the side. Reach your right hand out, and then look over your right hand. Then come back. You're going to extend your left foot now, making sure that you're not bending in your right foot here, but that it's staying straight. Foot's engaged, and trying to extend your left foot, keeping it straight as possible, making sure that your core is engaged here, that you have a nice straight back, that you're not bending back at all. If this is as high as you can get it, that's fine. Ideally, you want to get it parallel with the ground. And in order to help with that, you can reach your hands up and squeeze your core together, and that'll help bring that leg up. So we're going to do 3 more breaths here. 3, 2, 1, and then fade back into Warrior 2 from there, as in control as possible. Then sink back into a Warrior 2. Then you're going to windmill your arms, spin your back foot, bring your right leg back into a 3-legged dog, dorsiflexed, heel up, and then come forward to a front leaning rest position. Upper body comes a little bit forward, lower down, chaturangas, up dog, inhaling, And then down dog, exhaling. Now left leg's gonna come up. Left leg comes to be framed by your hands. 90 degrees in your back foot. Come up into Warrior 2 with your left foot out. Make sure that your left foot is facing forward, that your back foot is 90 degrees facing the sidewall. Make sure that your knee is pointed over your middle toe and not over pointed toward your big toe or in. You need to make sure that that hip is open. Grab the insides of your legs and pull them open so you know what that hip opening feels like, that sensation feels like. And then engage your core, turn your pelvis slightly upward, bring your hands up. And try and bring this knee, try and squeeze it open so that this knee is coming toward the sidewall. Your belly button is facing the sidewall to the right. Your hands are at shoulder level, they're not up here. Shoulder level, extending in both directions. As you inhale, make sure you have a nice long spine. And then as you exhale, go deeper into the pose. If your knee comes over your toes, you need to readjust. So walk your feet a little farther from one another. Three, 2, 1. Now get the weight in your front a little bit more. Get ready to spring off this back foot and bring it forward. And then bring your right hand to your right knee and open toward the sidewall. Reach your left hand out. There's a wall in my way here, so I'm just going to reach out with my elbow bent and look in that direction. Staying steady in your left foot, making sure that all the muscles in your left foot are engaged. Trying to pull your right foot out to have a nice hip opening. And then bring your right foot back to middle. Now extend your right foot. Trying to keep a straight right foot as possible. If you can only lift it a foot off the ground, that's fine. Just make sure that you're not bending your back, that you're not bending your left knee here, that you're keeping the straight leg in your left knee. To help raise a little higher, you can put your foot out and just reach up a little bit. That helps. If you have a goal in mind, it helps you get to that point. You can also raise your hands up, engage your core, and as you squeeze your core together, helps raise your foot up a little bit. So 3 more breaths here. 3, 2, 1. Come back into a Warrior 2 as gracefully as possible. Get back into a good Warrior 2 position. Hands come up. And then windmill your arms down. Frame your left foot. Spin your back foot. And then come into a 3-legged dog with your left leg up. Come forward. Lower down chaturangas. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Look forward. Bend your knees. Heels come off the ground. Jump to bring your feet to hands. Landing lightly. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, Tadasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Feet come back. You can either walk them back or jump them back. Lower down chaturangas. Inhale, up dog, using lower body. Pressing tops of toes in the ground. And then exhale into down dog. And again, down dog is your safe place. So walk it out here. You can press your heels in the ground, raise your hips up. Just do what feels right to help you recover here. Look forward. Knees bend. Heels come off the ground. Landing lightly. and then just slowly rise up, letting your neck come up last. We're going to come to the back of your mat. We're going to go into dancer pose, or standing bow pose here. So your left hand come up, right hand comes back to catch your right foot. And as you push back on your right foot, you're going to lean forward with your left hand. So inhale, and then exhale, slowly come into this pose. Make sure that your left leg is entirely engaged. Pressing back into your right foot for dancer pose or bow pose. Make sure that you're grabbing the inside of your right foot. If you are on the outside, switch right now. You're going to hurt yourself. Make sure that your toes are facing forward, that your hands in your front and your toes in your front are facing the same direction. And press into your back foot. If you press into your back hand with your back foot, you'll stay in this pose. If not, you're going to fall out. Come back to center. Switch your hands, so right hands come up. Left hand comes back to grab inside of left foot. Make sure your right foot is rooted into the ground, that your right leg muscles are engaged. Inhale. And exhale. Start to push back into your left hand with your left foot. Lowering forward with your right hand at the same time. Keeping a long back here. Right foot is engaged. All the muscles in your right leg are engaged. Muscle to bone, squeezing. Press into your back hand as hard as you can with your back foot. Reaching forward with your right hand. A couple more breaths here. Come back to middle. Gracefully if you can. And that was dancer pose. So that was the only set of dance we're going to take today. We're going to go into eagle pose now. So to set that up, come into a chair pose. Squeezing your thighs together, making sure that you can see your toes over your knees. Bringing your hands up. And then you're going to wind your right arm under your left arm. And the point of eagle is to open up your shoulders. So when you see a lot of people do an eagle, they're going to try and grasp their hands together like this. Only do that if you really can do it. Don't do it if that results in you with a wrist that's looks like this. The point of eagle is to open your shoulders. So if you can't properly wrap your fingers together, don't do it. So come into chair pose again. Toes off the ground. Hands come up. Right arm comes under left arm. Press your fingers into your right. Actually, that will be your left palm. If you can't, bring your fingers together. And then arch up in your back. And you're trying to squeeze your shoulders out to the sides to have a nice shoulder opening. To help do that, lift your arms up so that your hands are in front of your face. And now come off your left foot so that bring your right foot off the ground so that your left foot is the only thing holding you up. And bring it over your left foot. And try and squeeze your thighs together here. And then make sure that your elbow, this will be your right elbow, is directly over your knees. And then lean back so that you have a straight back. And sit a little deeper into the pose. Making sure that your shoulders are staying open here. And then inhale, bring your hands up all the way. And then switch this pose now. So now your left hand is going to come under your right arm. And you're going to start to open up your shoulders. Pressing your left fingertips into your right palm. Bending down into chair pose. Taking your left foot off the ground. Wrapping it around your right leg. Squeezing thighs together. Arch your back a little bit. Then you have a straight back now. You're going to lean back. Make sure your elbows are directly over your knees. And bring your hands up in front of your face. 3 more breaths. 2, 1. Bring your hands all the way up. Full mountain pose. And exhale to prayer. For this next series, you're going to need a block. You're going to need something that you can squeeze together. You can use a water bottle, would be good for this. So for example, a water bottle. Squeezing together like this. You can also use a thick book if you want. So, and these are just everyday objects I have lying around here, squeezing into it like this. I actually have a block though, so I'm going to be using a block. Blocks aren't too expensive if you want to go out and buy them. They're great for helping you with balances. So for example, when you do a half moon and you need something to balance on initially, it's good for that. Also, when you're doing certain back openers, if you can't do a back opener without hurting your lower back, you can put it under there, just as an extra support. So these are about 15 to 20 bucks. I'm sure you can find them on Amazon, pretty cheap. So take the block in your hand, get your feet about a foot width distance apart, and you're going to bend down into awkward pose. And initially, set the block in front of you. Bring your hands up. Except bring them as far as you can forward. So pull, alternating, pull your hands out in front of you as far as you can. And then bend them 90 degrees so that your forearms are perpendicular with the ground and that your upper arms are parallel with the ground. And then grab, using your right hand, grab the outside of your left upper arm and pull inward, and then alternate. Grab the outside of your right arm with your left hand and pull that in. So now that you know the tension that you're trying to work with, grab your block, squeeze together, and stay in this awkward pose here, and just push your arms together. We're going to try and strengthen some upper body muscles here, while in this awkward pose, in this variation of chair pose. And you're going to raise your arm up, keeping the block squeezed between your hands, keeping a good awkward pose with the weight in your back of your feet, and your toes off the ground. Come back with your hands squeezing together, now with your arms fully extended, pushing block together, or whatever you have in your hands, so that your arms are fully engaged. And then bend your knees and come to a forward fold. Just let your body rest for a moment. Bring your feet in just a little bit so that there's about 2 fist distance between them. And then slip your hands under your feet so that your toes come to your wrist. And then around your back as much as possible. Start with knees bent, but if you can, start to straighten them a little bit. This provides some really good opening for your back, some really nice relief. And let your head hang here. Just a weight to bring you down. So release your feet. Come back into that awkward pose. So come back up. Feet extended, hands extended in front of you. Toes slightly off the ground. Reach out as far as you can forward. Bend your hands. So there's a 90-degree bend between your lower and upper hands, lower and upper arms. Bring your right hand to the outside, your left hand, and pull. And same thing with your left hand now. Pull on the outside of your right upper arm. Come back. So you have a 90-degree bend in your arms again. Reaching out as far as you can forward.
drop down, grab the block, squeeze your hands together. Make sure you've got your upper arms parallel with the ground, and a 90-degree bend in your elbows. Squeezing together, and then reach up with your hands, squeezing block together at top. Couple more breaths here, squeezing, lower down. Extend your arms out in front of you as far as you can forward, squeezing your hands together, pushing against the block, and then lower down. Interlace your fingers around your big toe, half lift, and forward fold. Pull your toes as close as you can to your body. So you're gonna pull your upper body closer to your toes. Keep your thighs tucked to your chest, and use your bicep strength to pull yourself closer, to pull your upper body lower to the ground. If you can, straighten your legs. Pulling your body, your head closer to your toes, trying to straighten your hamstrings, keeping your chest tucked into your thighs, and letting your hands out. And lower down, all the way, onto your butt, and then onto your back. We're gonna take a quick savasana here. Couple breaths before we go into, you probably can't see me right now, can you? So stay down in corpse pose in savasana, and then we're going to go to the back strengthening series. So turn around so that your chest comes to the ground. We're going to start off in Cobra. So hands come under your shoulders. Chin is out. So come around so that you're at come out of Savasana and bring your chest so that it's on the mat. And we're going to start the back strengthening series. So your shoulders are going to be just over your hands. Your feet are going to be together, squeezing together at the back. You're going to engage your quadriceps so that your knees are off the ground. And we're going to do a couple poses of Cobra here. So, inhale, exhale. And on the inhale, bring your back up, pressing toes into the ground. Just using your lower back strength here and your legs to lift your body, upper body off the ground. Bring your head as forward as possible. And then exhale, lower down. So when you're in Cobra, you need to be breathing the whole time. Don't just do Cobra and hold it without breathing at all. When you're in any yoga pose, the best way to breathe is in control. So try and breathe as long as possible. Controlled, nice controlled long breaths. So second pose, second set of Cobra, sorry. Hands go on your shoulders, inhale. Exhale, and on the inhale, raise your body up. Breathing the whole time. Pressing tops of toes into the ground.
Engaging your quadriceps. Trying to raise your body, your upper body off the ground as much as possible. A couple more breaths. Lower down. You can swing your feet back and forth like this to provide some relief. We're going to come into Super Yogi pose, or Superman pose. Everything is going to face out toward the corner of the mat. So feet come out to the corner of the mats. Hands come out to corners of the mats or in front of you. Yogi's choice. And on the inhale, you're going to bring everything up, pointing in 4 directions, pointing to each corner of the mat. And your hips are going to be the only thing on the ground. You're trying to extend as far as possible in both directions, not necessarily getting as high as you want to, but getting as much distance between your hands and your feet as you can. So exhale, inhale, exhale, and on the inhale, come up, reaching out in 4 different directions, trying to get a little higher on each breath. 3 more breaths. One more. And lower down. Bring your left cheek to rest on the mat. Bring your hands to the sides with your palms open to the sky. Deep breaths. Prepare for second set. Hands return to corners. Feet return pointed to corners. Inhale. Exhale. And on the inhale, everything comes up. Reaching in 4 different directions. Trying to create as much length in your body as possible. With each breath getting a little bit higher, getting a little bit more extended. 3 more breaths. Lower down to the ground. Right cheek touches the ground. Hands come to side. Palms open to the sky. Now we're going to come to a bow pose on the ground. You're going to bring your heels as close to your butt as possible. Grab outside of your ankle and both feet. Bring your knees as close together as possible. Bring your head to rest on the mat. And on the exhale, you're going to push against your feet. So it's the same as bow pose standing, except you're doing both feet now. And again, this power of this pose, the power of this pose all comes from pushing your feet into your hands. So let's set up for that. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale, push. Trying to keep your knees as close together as possible. Keeping your feet as close together as possible. Rocking forward onto your front part of your body to get a little more length, to get a little more push. Arms fully extended. Again, all the power comes from you pushing your feet into your hands. And lower down. Resting your left cheek against the ground. We're going to do one more set of that. So take a couple deep breaths before we get back into bow pose. Bend your legs. Reach your fingers around the outsides of ankles. Take a couple deep breaths. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale. And exhale, push. Trying to push into your hands as much as you can. Bringing your legs high off the ground, trying to keep your knees about a foot apart. A couple more breaths. Lower down. Bring your right cheek to mat. And breathe. Tabletop. Let's push up into tabletop.
And then let's come into child pose just for a
Let's
little
go into
bit.
child pose, just for a little bit.
And let's go into embryo.
Let's go into embryo.
Bring your knees
Embryo.
together.
Sorry. Bring your knees together.
Thighs together.
Thighs
And
together.
then just let your body fall
And then
forward.
just let your body fall forward.
Chest comes onto your thighs.
Chest
Hands
goes
on
onto
your
your
side.
thighs, hands on your
Palms open,
side,
extended to the sky.
palms open, extended to the sky,
And then try and sink your weight back
and then try and sink your weight
toward
back
your heels.
toward your heels.
Let's come out of that. Hands
Come out of that.
spin around
Hands spin around.
so that you're on your back.
So that you're on your back.
We're going to do 3
We're going to do 3
bridges or wheels.
bridges or
So let's
wheels.
start off in bridge. Bring your
Let's
heels
start
as
off in
close as
bridge.
you can
Bring your
toward
heels
butt.
as close as you can toward your butt.
Hands come so your palms are on the ground.
Hands come so your palms are on the
And
ground.
then
And then
you're going to push your body up. So it's inhale.
push
and
your
on the
body
exhale,
up. So
push
it's
up.
inhale. And
Inhale.
on the exhale, push up. Inhale.
Exhale, push your body up.
Exhale, push your body up.
Squeezing the knees together. As much as
Squeezing knees
possible.
together as much as
Using
possible.
your glutes, using your lower body.
Using your glutes,
push
using
your
your
back
lower body. Push your
off the
back
ground as much as possible.
off the ground as much as possible.
Bringing your chest as high as
Bringing
possible. Bringing your
chest
heart
as high
this
as
way.
possible, bringing your heart this way.
Interlace your fingers. Squeeze your shoulders
Interlace your
together.
fingers, squeeze your shoulders together.
For some more length.
For some more
For
length.
some more arch.
For some more arch.
Exhale, lower down.
Exhale, lower down.
And we got 2 more sets.
And we got 2
If
more
it's
sets.
within your practice, you can do
If it's
wheel.
within your practice, you can do
Or
wheel.
if you want to do 1 bridge and then 1
If you
wheel,
wanna
that's
do
fine
one
too.
bridge and then 1 wheel, that's
I'm
fine
going to go
too.
into wheel here.
I'm going to go into wheel here.
So inhale.
So inhale.
And on the exhale, push up. Don't
And
think
then
about it.
exhale,
Just
push
go
up. Don't think about it, just go up.
Keep your knees about a foot apart.
Keep your knees about a foot apart.
It's about the breath.
It's
As
about the
long
breath.
as you're breathing, you can stay in
As
this.
long as you're breathing, you can stay in this.
3 more breaths.
3 more breaths.
2,
2,
1. Lower down.
1. Lower
Letting
down.
every vertebrae hit the ground.
Letting every
one
vertebrae
at a
hit the
time.
ground, 1 at a time.
And then getting ready for a 3rd set.
And then getting
So let's
ready for a
bring
3rd set. So let's
knees
bring
into your chest.
knees into your chest.
Just squeeze them into your chest.
Squeeze them into your
Quick
chest.
little relief.
Quick little relief.
And then bring your feet back.
And then bring your feet
Bring your
back.
hips as close to your
Bring your
heels
hips
as
as
possible.
close to your heels as possible.
And we're going to go into 3rd set.
And we're going to go into
Bridge
third
or
set.
wheel.
Bridge
Set
or
for
wheel.
whichever one you want to do.
Set for whichever one you want to
Inhale.
do.
And
Inhale.
then exhale. Everything comes up.
And then
Don't think
exhale.
about it.
Everything
Just
goes
go
up.
up.
Don't think about it. Just go up.
Straighten your legs.
Straighten your
For some
legs.
more resistance. For a little more
For some more
tense.
resistance. For a little more
Bend
tense.
here.
Bend
You
here.
can also bring your hands in
You
closer
can also bring your hands in closer.
to your feet. Or
To your
walk your
feet.
feet closer to your hands.
Walk your feet closer to your hands.
Make sure that you're squeezing your knees together.
Make sure that
They've
you're
got about a
squeezing your
foot
knees together.
apart.
They've got about a foot apart.
And then lower down.
And then lower down.
Slowly.
Slowly.
Come to Supta Baddha Konasana.
Come to
with your
Supta Baddha Konasana with your
feet open or hips
feet
open.
open or hips open and butterfly.
Basically
Basically
a supine bicycle here.
supine bicycle here.
So letting the weight of
So letting the
gravity.
weight of letting
So open your
gravity.
hips up
Just open your hips up
and lying down on your back.
and lying down
Soles
on
of
your
feet
back.
pressed together.
Soles of feet pressed together.
Staying focused though, not going into
Staying
your rest
focused
mode
though.
yet.
Not going into your
Still got a
rest
couple
mode yet.
poses to do.
Still got a couple poses to do.
Close your legs like you're
Close your
closing a
legs like you're closing a book.
book. Squeeze knees in.
Squeeze knees in.
And let's roll a little bit.
And let's roll a little bit
Into a seated pose.
into a seated pose.
We're gonna do an inversion. Before we go into child's pose. You can do a shoulder stand. Come up like this. Squeeze your shoulders together as much as possible. Hands come to lower back. Your feet are extended as high as possible. Toes pointed toward the ceiling. And the weight is in your shoulders here. It's not in your neck. If it's in your neck, bring your shoulders closer. Bring your elbows closer together. Inversion option number 1. Number 2, you come into a handstand, or a headstand, sorry. Hands come like this. Bring your right hand outside of left hand outside of right hand. This is the length you want. Interlace fingers. Drop down to the floor, and your crown of head goes into that little slot that you just made with your fingers. And then use your core strength and come up into a headstand. Your feet should be directly over your head. Use your core here to help maintain balance. And headstand's actually easier than you think. Try it someday. You can use a wall for support. It's always an option. And if you want, you can do a handstand. So a handstand, just find a wall, hands come forward, kick up, feet come to wall, hands framed, head framed by your hands, your arms, and just try and reach your feet up as high as possible. And then come out of that when you feel like it or when you get bored. After you've done your inversion, come into a child's pose. Feet come to back with your big toes touching. Knees pointed out, mat width distance apart. Hands come forward, walking your hands out, and then push your hands into the mat so that you bring your hips as close to heels as possible into that little gap that you can see if you look through your body toward the back wall. Coming out of child's pose. If you like staying in child pose, go for it. If it's feeling good for you, by all means stay into it. I'm going to end the session here though. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter at manfulyoga. You can see me on Facebook at facebook.com/manfulyoga. For all you YouTube followers, I've got a page at youtube.com/manfulyoga. I'm getting 10 or so followers every day. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching again, and namaste.